Dandora, Nairobi, Kenya. This is an eastern suburb of the city in the sun, if you can still call it that, which is part of Embakasi division. Now, this is the biggest dump site in the city. Of course, Dandora is surrounded by estates like Kariobangi, Babadogo, Gitaya Marigo, and Gorogosho, the famous Gorogosho. It's very interesting because actually Dandora was established in 1977 with partial financing from the World Bank. Yeah. The whole idea, of course, was to set a standard for higher housing for low-income people. Oh, but how wrong it went. It went very wrong. Today, Dandora is an eyesore. Dandora is a very, very crazy place. Many people don't know this, but Nairobi is also the main sewage, hosts the main sewage treatment works for the city. And this process discharges processed water into the Nairobi River. But back to the dump site. The dump site is obviously a very serious environmental hazard because, for starters, the burning of the waste at night normally chokes. It flows into houses of people, and the smoke makes it very hard for people to breathe. You can imagine small children. It's a very hard life in Dandora. Other slums like Kibera would be much better off because despite the poor living standards, they would not have such hazards as Dandora has. Natural life is very hard here, and quite a substantial amount of people earn their living actually from the dump site, yes, scavenging, getting waste paper or whatever they can resell or remake into something to earn at least their daily bread, money to feed their hungry children and so on. It's not surprising that you would expect from this kind of environment to breed some of the worst gangsters, the most violent, ruthless gangsters in Nairobi. But you wouldn't expect, or you wouldn't imagine in your wildest nightmare that one day you'd have a gun being pointed at you by a woman. And not only a woman, a young, attractive girl. Now, I'm not talking about a movie here. I'm talking about reality. There's actually a growing number of female gangsters, female violent gangsters who use guns. Now, females have various advantages because, first of all, it's very difficult to surprise them, to suspect them rather. And also they hold the element of surprise, which is important in crime. It's important to take a victim completely by surprise. So obviously when you see a young, beautiful young lady, you wouldn't be on your guard, would you? And then the next thing that happens, you get hit very hard. Now, in a hard, harsh environment like this, the police also hit back hard and harsh. It's the only way of being able to maintain law and order. It's the only way of being able to maintain sanity, or so they claim. So it's very common to see young gangsters being gunned down in blood, blood all over the place, and so on and so forth. This is very common in Dandora. In fact, it's not news. It's just something which occurs every day. However, there was something a bit different on 9th May 2017, this year. The prettiest gangster, young gangster, barely in her early 20s you've ever seen, was gunned down by police. Yep, that's her in the photo. Very attractive girl, was able to afford a very high lifestyle. And in a very short life, she lived hard and fast. Yeah. Apparently, she was also married to a gangster, married or come with stay, whatever it is, not very clear. And of course, she was assisting her man in committing crimes, violent crimes. And most of the times, she would carry the guns because in case of any problem, meeting policemen and all that, sometimes policemen will not search these females. Not so in Dandora because, as I've told you, the policemen here have to deal with a very difficult situation. But normally it is best for the female to carry the gun, even outside Dandora, because obviously these guns have to be transported from outside the estate. Any other part of Nairobi, no policeman would think of searching a young, beautiful, innocent-looking girl like this one. But I'm told she also participated in the violent crimes. She knew how to use a gun quite well, and she participated in the violent crimes. And therefore she was marked by one of the policemen, and on 9th, just the other day, she was gunned down. She leaves behind a very young child, 3-4 years old, who now has to face their life without a mother, and somehow learn how to hustle, and maybe it will be even very difficult for them to get out of this vicious cycle. That is Dandora. Yeah, that's a sad story from Dandora I wanted to share with you today. As our politicians haggle over higher salaries, haggle over tribes, which tribe is supposed to be superior to each one, the real problems facing Kenyans, the real problems facing Nairobi are not being addressed. Nobody's really thinking deeply about them. And you see, what will inevitably happen is that they'll get worse rather than better. Young, intelligent men, young, intelligent, beautiful women ending their lives in a pool of blood. Yeah, very, very sad for Kenya. Extremely sad. This is one of the things that should make Kenyans very angry about their politicians. This is one of the things that should make Kenyans really reconsider as we go into the polls. What kind of people we're electing? Are they in touch with what the situation really is on the ground, or are they not? I take this opportunity to say R.I.P. Claire, condolences to our family, and let's just pray for a better tomorrow for Dandora in Nairobi. This is Chris Kumekucha.